Great. All right. We already have some participants. Welcome. I'm Elizabeth, if you don't know me already, and this is my friend Meg Archambault. And I'm so grateful you're here. We are going to be doing something very special this week. And Meg and I have been really enjoying the fluidity of merging together and creating this space of light together. And we are welcoming you officially into our container right now. And we have been working on this field together. It's sort of birthing something new, and then we nurture it. So welcome to this container of light that we've so carefully been playing with and then really enjoying building. And thank you, Meg. I've really enjoyed it very much.
You're welcome. Me too. I've had a wonderful time, and I can't wait to see what happens because, as you know, we were just talking about how we're going to open up the container and see what wants to come through. So I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly. So here we are. We've opened an energetic door for you. In mysticism, beginnings are very important, but I'm going to get the annoying part out of the way first, which is the administrative piece. So administratively, we are trying to make sure that our interactions can happen the most on Slack so that people can interact via that platform. So that's where you'll want to post your responses, your breakthroughs, your questions, your issues. You'll want to be posting them there on each daily retreat channel that will open up. And you'll see that at the very top left of your Slack platform, it'll show number 1, Monday retreat, number 2, Tuesday retreat. Each day will have a different link that I'm going to be posting up. Today on the Monday retreat, you found obviously the link to this webinar, but we also have another one I just posted up because we got it all arranged now, and we're going to be adding to that file, but it's a resources file with lots of extra fun stuff that you can be using for your journey this week that Meg and I wanted to share with you. So we have compiled some incredible documentation and energy. We've been weaving lots of light. Every day you'll get access to a PDF that's very beautifully put together with lots of energy and light for you to utilize. It's going to be the how-tos, and then there'll be another document which will be a Word document each day, which Meg has typed up. These are going deeper into the concepts for the day. And you'll also get an MP3 that Meg and I created for you over this past week. We've been creating these audios to help give examples and help you feel into the real life day-to-day of everyday processing. So that's the first piece. And then on Thursday, we're going to meet on Instant Teleseminar. And Meg and I are literally going to walk through real time a square for you that we have picked. And I don't want to give it away because it's special. And then on next Monday, I believe, or is it Sunday?
Sunday.
It's on Sunday. Okay. So next Sunday, we will have our special Zoom retreat ending call, and that'll be a special ending for our container. So today's our doorway into the container, and then we will have our outro Zoom call then as well. All of these will be recorded for you and sent to you, and we'll make sure you have access to all those every day. If you would, when those links, on Sunday it's going to be at the same time. It'll be at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And so every day when you get those links, make sure you download everything that's in those links. And then through this whole week, you're going to be able to access the whole Circle community on Slack. So that means that if you'd like to chat with all the other folks who've been there, you're going to see lots of different channels: healing and processing, group chat, announcements, daily meditation, everything. You have full access to everything. And then at the end of the week, if you're not already a member, you'll lose that access, but we really do hope that you'll come and join us more permanently. We have a monthly membership. It's $13 a month to stay with us in that whole community. But we also have scholarships. So if you can't manage that, that's okay. Just let me know. And you're always welcome to email me at elizabeth@seer and scientist. And then one last piece, Susan on the Slack platform is our special admin tech help. So if you have trouble, let me know, or you can message Susan directly and we'll be able to help you out. So that's the annoying part, the admin. Now we get to come into the energy together. I'm so grateful that you're here. Welcome to Everyday Processing. And thank you, Meg. I would love to hear from you, Meg, about the process we've created to getting here. And then we're going to get into our special question that we're asking people to start out with this week. But I would love to hear what you have to say as we keep these doors wide open energetically. And what's your welcome that you'd like to share?
Oh, I loved hearing that so much, Elizabeth. And I want to welcome everyone. I just see the people. I can feel and see the people coming in. If it was an auditorium, people are in, and when they're leaning in and they're excited and they're maybe somewhat nervous, just to kind of feel the unknown. And we're in that with you. I think that's what I want to let you know, that Elizabeth and I are listening. We're listening for, what do you need? What is this all about? And we've been creating these audios and the information, as she said, with that in mind, weaving intention in and light into everything with you in mind, because we know that there's a huge potential, an opportunity to really address some important things that are in your lives. And that's why you're here, and we can feel that, and you want breakthroughs. And so we're here to support you in that every step of the way. And I think the most important thing that I want to keep inspiring you to do is definitely share as little as or as much as you'd like. There's no pressure there, but don't hold back, because the more that you let us know what's happening real time, and the more that you can tell us what you need from us, the better we can navigate this, because that's what we're dedicated to, right? We're dedicated to listening for you, what you want, and for what wants to come through us as well. So I'm excited for the process and the journey to start. Elizabeth and I, yes, Elizabeth, we've had such a good time putting this material together, and it's been an experiment for us, in that we are both learning to put aside our egoic structures to come together in a new form like this, and just merge and make that the commitment for us. And so we've been playing with that, we've been practicing that, and I hope that comes through. I think it came through in the original call that we did on Zoom earlier this week. And so that was just huge inspiration and energetic. So I'm looking forward to more of that. So yeah, so welcome everyone.
Welcome. Yes, it has been an experiment, that's for sure. And what we're really experimenting on is merging, and which is something we're going to get into tomorrow. And then, of course, being able to create a space where your feedback helps. So here's how you can take advantage of that the most. Each day, if you'd like to have any help or support or comments from us and the other wise people who've joined us for this retreat, post on those days. So Monday today, you can post today, and then Tuesday tomorrow, you'll post there. And as that happens, Meg and I are going to be off and on available throughout the whole day to serve you. We're going to be paying close attention to it. In fact, I'll be getting it almost like a text on my phone. So I'm going to be paying attention. I'm going to be holding you in that light, and so is Meg. And that's going to really help with this deeper this foundation, not a platform, but a foundation for us as we move into these deep processes. So that's absolutely key. Now we have a very special question to ask you. And this is going to help bring the measurable results you really need this week. So that question is so important. As you know, formulating the right question is always going to be key in any work you do. So that question is, what is it that is coming forth from your life and your soul right now that wants to be looked at the most and examined carefully and closely with the processes we'll share with you this week? And so it doesn't have to necessarily be one thing, but we encourage you to hone into something big for yourself that's not too broad, but that's something that you're going to really want to dig into the most using the skills, tools, processes that we'll be sharing with you. That way, you'll be able to experience the changes immediately. If you have something that specific you can open up into, you don't have to know that right now in this moment, but we want you to open up with that intention in the heart. Heart, dear soul, show me, what is it that really needs to be looked at most this week for my highest, biggest, most benevolent, and brightest breakthrough that I could possibly have with Meg and Elizabeth's help? What is it that needs to be looked at the most? So dig into that from your soul, from your heart. Drop into your heart and ask that deep question today and see what unfolds. And by tomorrow, you'll probably have the answer. And we'd love to hear about that. Be sure and post that if you'd like to share on the Tuesday day, or even today on Monday, if you have it already. That'll be wonderful. And we can help you hone it if you're having trouble. Because I like to hone stuff down, make sure we have a good quality question or a good quality piece that you might want to look at. We'll help you out if you're not sure. So that'll be something really special we can do for you too. Very good. Meg, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think that if you can feel behind what you're saying, is that this is an amazing opportunity to start taking, and I forget how you say it, Elizabeth, you say it really well, the soul in charge. Is that how you say it?
Yes, the soul in charge.
The soul in charge. Yeah, it's a great way to say, it's a merger with spirit as well, to be like, I'm standing up and saying, this, I'm showing up and I'm ready to work, and I'm ready to really, really do the work to bring more love into my life, or whatever your intention might be. Mm-hmm. And it's the opportunity to step in as the soul in charge. I just love that. So yeah, I think this is a great way to open that gate.
Me too. Meg, just a side note, some folks are having a hard time hearing you. Could you come up a little closer to the mic? Thank you. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, folks. Just let us know if there's any trouble. We'll do the best we can to manage it. Good. So yes, honing it down. So maybe we can give a few examples of what someone might like to look at this week, Meg. One that comes to mind for me is if there's maybe a negative pattern in your relationships. Like, for example, maybe someone in your family seems to know how to push all your buttons the best. And you might say, how can I truly transform the relationship I'm having with this person that I care about, and examine really closely those reactions that I tend to have with them? That might be, for example, a good place to start. What might be some other examples, do you think, Meg?
I think you stole that from me.
Oh, yeah, I did for sure, right? Because we have our kids that love to push our buttons.
Yeah, no, and one of the things that Elizabeth and I will be doing all week, and let me know if you can hear me any better, is that we're going to be sharing our own examples for different things, because that's one of the ways that we sense that you can identify. So just taking what Elizabeth, what you just said, we were sharing before the call that I have a tension with my sister, and this has been going on a really long time, and I keep peeling it back and peeling it back. So it may not be something that's new in your life. It could be something that's old that you've been working on, but it just hasn't gotten to the core yet. So that would be something like that for me, to really get to the core of what is causing this tension or separation. right? So a lot of this shows up in relationships. So it could be with your beloved, it could be with the children, it could be with someone else that's significant in your world. That would be one thing. The other thing, another example might be if you have an inkling of what you want to be doing work-wise in the world, and you feel stuck, or you feel that you're resisting something, this might be an amazing opportunity to really feel into and ask that question. That might be, what is it that I am resisting about getting my voice out, or starting this business, or being more creative? Or if you already do have a business, taking it to a place that is even deeper, a deeper expression, a deeper, more authentic alignment with who you are and what you came to do. So that's what comes to mind for me.
I love that example. Yeah. So if there's any blocks that is really difficult for you, that's going to be something that you might really want to look at. Pick a particular block around a particular piece, either what you're bringing into the world for career or relationships. Maybe you're looking for a partner and you've had a block around that. That'd be a good thing to look at too. So Nikki says, what brought me here is this one: not being able to let go of the past to make way for the new, holding on to the old, not being able to welcome the new. That's a perfect example of saying Nikki has clearly been doing some self-assessment, and she's noticed that she's not been able to welcome the new, that she hangs on to the past. So this week, by digging into that, she's going to be able to find all these different layers and pieces and fully merge with them and welcome them, so that she'll be able to come out on the other side with a very clear path of how to welcome the new, how to shift the old and still revere it, honor it as it should be. And then, of course, really getting to know the deep linchpins that she might have around that. So we have some specific tools here. We have really particular jargon we're using. So, for example, we're saying patterns, we're saying blocks, we're saying self-assessment, we're saying merging and welcoming, which are two different things, but tomorrow you'll learn about them and how it's part of a larger process. And then we have this idea of linchpins, that underneath these patterns, there's going to be really key linchpins you'll find that you might not have realized were there. And I think that's actually a really great thing to examine, is what's underneath everything. You might find negative programs, you might find traumatized selves or frozen children, all of which we're going to get into in depth this week. So be prepared to unwrap this with a great amount of joy. Part of what we're here to teach you this week is how to do all this processing with joy and get excited about it. So we want you to feel how excited we are. And so I'd like to kind of share some of that excitement, back up a little bit here, because initially this kind of evolved into its own creature. And at first I said, one of the things that I don't teach very much of, even though I'm doing it constantly, is processing. And I told Meg, I said, I don't really like talking about processing. It's not my favorite thing, my favorite topic. I think it's incredibly important. And obviously, when I talk about, say, equations for enlightenment, I always say, you got to do self-assessment, mental, emotional, physical processing. And then I tend to mainly stick around with the physical part, because the physical is what I'm good at. And then meditation, that equals a more enlightened state. But then, I have resources, perhaps easy, basic ones, but I don't really get into how I use them or how they've got me somewhere. And Meg has excited me about this for the first time in a long time. And honestly, I don't think I've ever been this excited about processing before. So here we are, and I'm really thrilled because I finally found a new love for it, and a new love that I want to share, a fresh love for this journey of processing every day as a lifestyle, as a mindset. And it's one that brings so much joy to our lives. And I'd love for you to share your excitement too, Meg, and how this has created a fresh excitement for you as well.
Well, I also, I'm curious. Oh, I hear a
Mhm.
little bit of echo here. I'm curious about the, do you know what shifted? Do you know what was the
It's a good
moment that
question.
shifted, or?
I'm not sure because nothing on my end's changed.
Oh, I meant the, oh, different question.
Oh,
This is
the
good.
echo or the.
No, I got the echo. No, what shifted from, because I love this about the story, you know,
Mhm.
because this creation of this retreat is also embedded into the week long. So I'm just curious what shifted from not being excited about
Being excited. You know what it
to being
was?
excited.
Well, first, being able to read the beautiful topics that you personally have channeled through your heart, and then taking the how-tos out of that and turning it into something of pure magic. And the first one that I did is for tomorrow, and it's the how-tos on basic,
Foundation.
um, yeah, it's the foundations of being able to notice something, being able to approach it with gratitude. So we say thanking and then welcoming, merging, and then embodiment, of course, beginning with embodiment, noticing where something happens in the body. So for example, with Nikki's situation, how she might feel the holding on to the old in the body, how she might feel welcoming in the new, or the block around welcoming the new in the body. And we want to bring you into the embodiment piece of that. Well, by taking that info and then turning it into something visual that's woven with light, it made me suddenly realize how much fun processing really is. And it's something that I do so often that it's become such an integrated part of who I am in my life and how I've gotten to these states of consciousness that I've attained. Well, being able to put that in a physical format, taking that love of that mindset, and then put it into a physical format that's woven mystically with light. And Meg asked me how I do it, and I'll share. Mysticism is really the study of power, and power is light. Light is power. So we're taking, that deep look at that too. All of this is mysticism. We're teaching you to navigate energy. It's got a lot of different things that you're going to experience from it. Part of it is navigating energy, and processing helps you navigate and find what's most important. What is your soul showing you along the path? What are the signposts? Being able to know those so well and love them, because every time you take that signpost seriously, you're going to end up somewhere where you're full of more light, where you have big, huge breakthroughs and aha moments and connection to source again. So when I was taking these how-tos, I like to take the energy of it and then I'll use it as a lens, and I will look for visuals that match that. Many of the visuals you'll see are actually Meg's photos too. And so we get that level of light as well. But I'll take it as a lens, and then I'll go through and I'll find visuals, and I will run them through a program and modify them. And every single step of the way, every click, every tiny thought, every word that comes through when I'm creating a visual like that, these PDFs, for example, has all this very particular intention of light woven through every action. It's basic alchemy, really. And this is mysticism and how you weave light into things. And if you had been in the last retreat I did online, this week-long retreat around the fields of limitation, then you would have seen those beautiful PDFs at that time too. And the feedback that we got was so powerful that people could feel the light moving through them. This is quantum anthropology. How does the quantum and the light of our reality affect us, and how do we affect it? And Meg and I have been practicing being good quality mystics by weaving all that intention and light. So for example, tomorrow's PDF is woven with the intention that you'll fully be able to welcome all the how-to steps into your life with ease and grace, so that it will unfold into higher states of consciousness for you. Every tiny little action I took to create that was fully saturated with that intention, and you'll feel it. And so that's also the way that we've done our MP3s that you'll be able to share, and any of the writing Meg has done, it's the same. So there's a lot of layers of mysticism here as part of the retreats, and we encourage you just to let it work on you. There's nothing special you have to do. You just have to be in receiving, willing to practice, and being open to connecting on Slack with us and others and their wisdom as well. There's lots of wonderfully wise people who will be joining us with incredible insight. And we want to hear your insight. We want to welcome you to share your insight for others as well. Because here's why. If we're sharing these breakthroughs and these results, and we're sharing our practices and our blocks and all of the above, then you'll be able to get feedback that's going to be related to what others might be going through as well. The more that people share, the more wisdom we have access to. So you yourself act as a catalyst of wisdom in this retreat, just as Meg and I do. And we're all in equanimity together here. And you'll really be able to experience that as you listen to the MP3s and get together with the materials, because we've fully opened ourselves up in total vulnerability, as you'll notice as you listen to what's available and read what's available. And that transparency, that equanimity that we want to create, it opens up more of your own personal trust in yourself. And honestly, if there's any gift we could give you, it would be that, to trust that this is going to work, to trust yourself and your guidance, to trust your own signposts, and to trust your body, to trust your soul. And my goodness, we sure could use a lot more of that, right?
That's a great, I appreciate you sharing that, because, you know, we kind of go where we're working behind the scenes and then we come together. And, you know, I was excited about this even before for a lot of reasons. And I share some of that in our other Zoom call, that I've seen the real measurable results in my life as a result of conscious processing. And those you can't deny. And for me, they are evidence. They're shown as proof and evidence every single day in my life, because I look at my husband and I look at my son, and every time I see them, I feel inside that this is a result of the processing that I've done, the processing that I've done to come more into alignment. And you'll hear us talk a lot about polarities this week. And I was on one side of the polarity, and I called in my significant other at the time to actually fill that space, to fill that void and balance us out. And so once I've brought that polarity to rest within inside me, he didn't need to hold that anymore. So our relationship is a result of processing in my mind. And so that's my initiative, and that's my inspiration to keep going for myself, and also trusting life, like as Elizabeth, as you said, the breadcrumbs, right? You can't deny when something is in your face and saying, look at me, look at me. And that's what happened with this relationship with him. And so now I trust life so much more as a benevolence that is handing me everything that I need in order to remember who I am as a divine being, as love. And I know that's hard and not tangible for a lot of people, and it may seem pie in the sky, but I'm just a regular, really normal human being. You know, I had my son at age 40. I've had a lot of struggles, eating disorder, trauma, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, if I can get through this muck, you know, anyone can. And now that I'm helping others as a soul worker, and I work with women, and I see these transformations right in front of my eyes, as some of the layers of baggages drop, as new awarenesses pop in, or a new perspective pops in, and there's a new level of peace, or a new level of self-awareness or self-acceptance. To me, that's my inspiration to keep going, because it's so prevalent. I'm so aware of it right in front of my own eyes. And so that brought me to just wanting to do this in the first place. But you know, the other thing, that when you and I came together, I think both of us, we don't like to make it so structured of a process. And I think that's what was the magic in us coming together, that we both on our own taken the things that we've learned, right, through our teachers, and we've used them and changed them to match our lifestyle. And we added some of our own things, or we've taken some things from someone else, and we've really created our own way of everyday processing. It's not that it's from a book, it's from our own insides. And it's like if you take a mixing pot, you know, and you put in different ingredients, we just, you know, added this and added that, and hey, this works for us. And that's our invitation for everyone here this week, because we're giving you all these ingredients, and we're not saying follow Meg's process or follow Elizabeth's process. We're saying take this, add to it, use it as a springboard, come back into your own life and really ask yourself what works, what doesn't, create my own processing techniques that I can use on an everyday basis. And to me, each of the days, and I'll just say this as a kind of a content awareness of what's happening this week, I had to pull back from, zoom out of the processing that I do and say, so what do I do, right? I had to examine what I do in order to make it somewhat of a linear process so that people could follow it. And that's how we broke out the 5 days of content. We want to make sure that we give you the foundations so that we set you up to be successful at having very deep and very effective processing. So that's the foundations. Then we want to make sure that you are able to recognize and be aware of what to process throughout the week, right? Because if you're not aware, so awareness is the second day. And then we get into the specifics of polarity processing on the third day. Teach you a little bit more about that if you're not aware. And then on the fourth day, we get into deepening. And that's where we'll take a look at how to navigate frozen children and frozen aspects of ourselves, traumatized selves, deeper processing techniques that you can use. And then Friday, we really pull it all together, or the fifth day, we pull it all together in everyday processing, giving you all specific ways that we every single day use this stuff. So that's what makes me excited. And I could go on.
I love it. Thank you. That really gives a good, concise look at what's happened, and that, no, we don't use this stuff in an incredibly structured way. Both Meg and I have had many different experiences from different point of views, and very similar ones as well, that we share with you along the way. So we encourage you to be really creative. If you find a new twist on something that we share with you, we would love to hear it. Because this is an ongoing thing that builds up. It builds into new, beautiful things that will help people even deeper. So we give you that as something you can run with, especially if you're a practitioner too. And if you can find measurable results out of this as a spiritual scientist of your own, then you'll be able to feel really confident that there's going to be measurable results for the people around you that you'll share this with too. So we really do encourage that very much. And listen, we've got your back. There's some folks here who are saying, you know, you've done it and I trust you to lead me through. That's incredible. We do take it very seriously. We want to embody that full trust. And we also want to exude that trust in ourselves, because you're right. Meg and we're really normal folks, and we speak very clearly, and we're transparent about that I'm a mom with 3 kids and a marriage and a house and a business and the 3D life and all of its wildness plus a farm. That's real life, and that I'm grounding all of these things into my real 3D life. That's the job. But being able to have a multidimensional lifestyle that's also grounded, it's tough. It's not easy. Yet, this was the greatest thing that I have been able to do to make all of that happen. So for me, my crazy mix up of stuff ended up turning into things like heart commands and finding new ways to be in command as a soul of my life and my body. Giving my power back to my own soul was so huge for me. And we want to give that opportunity for you to do that for yourself too. And we have someone who says, I feel really ashamed of some of the issues that have come up and that they feel ashamed to share. And we completely relate and understand, which is why we've done the vulnerability part for you this time. So if you don't feel like you're ready to share, sit with that openness and that vulnerability, especially the MP3s you'll get every day, because Meg and I talk about some really tough stuff and we get real about it. We talk about some of the darkest stuff we've been through, and we are really open because we've processed a lot of that shame around sharing. And you can feel it. I want you to just tap into that energy of, hey, this is how it feels to fully process my shame and then come out the other side of it, to feel confident in my vulnerability, to feel that I can embody full trust. That's what it'll feel like. So what we're doing is what we've carved out, via energetic machete. We've carved out this tough path through some pretty dense stuff, Meg and I. And it, we didn't do it together. We did it on our own. We did it in some days wondering if it was going to make any difference at all. And some days where we were way too overwhelmed and exhausted to even do anything at all. And then other days when we got through some big, huge, holy cow piece and were reminded of the magic and joy of what processing can do. So we talk about all that. Just tap into that. Don't worry about feeling like you're not able to fully share yourself unless you have a breakthrough around that in of itself, and then you want to share how that felt. We just want to help you to navigate energetically what it feels like on the other side as well. So the whole equation has energetically opened up for you. Just relax into it, be open to it, and see what happens. We're here for you, and we have zero judgment. Both Meg and I have processed incredible amounts of judgment out of the way so that what we are left with is discernment. And we're here for you. There's nothing that we haven't heard, probably. I know, at least for myself, because speaking with many thousands of people over all these years, I've heard pretty much every horrible story you can imagine, and then some. And it's amazing how most of us are here, despite it all. We made it. We're still alive, despite it all. Sometimes in shocking amounts of trauma having happened to us, yet here we are. So the fact that you're even listening to this means that you have a level of willingness that is so vital. You've come into this already willing to take a look at that shame, and you've noticed it. Good. That's exactly the right attitude. You've noticed it. That's self-awareness. That's the beginning. And then towards the fruition of what it's going to feel like at the other side, you'll be a brand new person. That's what this beautiful week is all about. It's helping you to be a new and happier you. So dig into that shame.
Yeah.
It's your big signpost right now. It's saying, hey, I really need you to look at this. And so your soul has set you up with that awareness. Ta-da, there's that signpost. We're going to go down this road called shame, and we're going to look at that shame first. Look at the shame first, and then unfold into some of the issues that you'd like to bring to the table, that you'd like to tackle. But I think it's very amazing that you've already noticed your own issue around sharing. Perfect, good. That's exactly the right track, and that's the right mindset to have.
Can I add to
And
that?
yeah.
Oh no, I am just celebrating actually and thanking you for bringing that up, because we are intending and hoping to create this atmosphere and this container of kindness and acceptance and welcoming and self-love and self-care. And that's the exact place to bring shame. And the celebration is, it's it's like there's no shame for the shame because you already shared it, right? And so it's like it's already peeking out of the closet, wanting to be welcomed, wanting to be merged with. And that's exactly what we're going to be teaching and giving examples of this week. So I think this is beautiful, perfect timing to all of us. See, we're not alone in this. We are all holding pieces of each other. We are merging with all, however many of us are there this week. And so we all have shame around something. So this moment is the opportunity to merge with you and to welcome our own shame and to really allow it to unfold. So thank you. A lot of thank you there.
It's so perfect, yes. And Angela mentions, I'm already in tears as I think about your big question. I've had so much against myself about where I am in my life, why I haven't done whatever. Lots of self-judgment, criticism, denial, distraction. And she says, I'm glad there is joy in this process. I'm really ready to get started after what feels like many false starts with other ways of clearing. Hey, we know how that feels. In fact, I remember for years sitting on the back end with my teacher, Lucia, who, again, a good example. She had learned a lot of different ways of processing, and she built upon what was already available. And that's exactly what we hope you'll do eventually with this too. And then even from there, like I learned from Lucia, but then I built on that too. So physical processing really was built upon the structures that were already available. And I said, well, I feel like this piece is missing for me in this process. So that's when I came up with my own recipe to fulfill my own needs, honestly. And the outcomes were really awesome. So the false starts, yeah, that can often happen with different kinds of processes that might not have worked for you. What we're here to share with you is what has really truly worked for us, but also which has worked for many, many thousands of people beyond us. And Meg and I can attest that this is true, having literally witnessed many hundreds and thousands of people using these processes and seeing really incredible outcomes. So we've kind of done the research for you already in our own lives, and by being witnesses and helping to help others heal ourselves, we've seen the measurable pieces. So we know that these work, and that they work for a full spectrum of people. They work for the average guy, for example, who might have a hard time feeling into his body. They work for the older woman who's done this kind of stuff back and forth for decades, perhaps, and would like a fresh guidance into another level, perhaps. You know, it's good for people who are just starting. It's good for people who've been doing it for a while, and good for you experts as well. And that's what is going to be so powerful about it. The container has many layers for you to play in. And part of it is the fact that we know that this work will succeed. We're so confident about it that we ourselves use it constantly. And that's why we called it everyday processing, because it's all about living your life every day in higher states of consciousness. And this is that big, gigantic piece of it. It's probably the heart of it. And so that's kind of the energy I just wanted to share with people around that. And so Susan says it works. so exactly. And then Jessica's saying, I'm feeling scared and excited after 30 years of being a mostly stay-at-home mom. Good. You know, notice that excitement. Where is it in your body exactly? And notice too the fear that might come up as we talk about how it's going to be unwrapping these pieces. There might be fear that shows up. Hang out and really get to know that fear. Where is it in the body? Is it truly fear? Is it actually maybe a nuanced energy? Is it excitement? Is it wonder? Is it, you know, champagne bubbles of, you know, butterflies in your gut around discovering something new, or hoping for a really good outcome? Maybe there's an energy behind that. So dig into the nuances of different emotions that come up. That's going to be part of this week. Is we really want you to notice. It's literally like the first thing that we ask you to do is pay attention to where your emotions are in your body and how you're mentally clocking them. So that'll be definitely key as you develop your special question that you're going to unwrap. Notice, keep notes on how it feels as you try to dig into the question. So for example, one of our folks here has said that as she's been trying to think of a question, she suddenly felt shame. Where is the shame in the body? Make a note of it, because you're going to come back to it again and again, and you're going to notice these things. Make sure you're keeping a bit of a journal, if you like, every day this week, just with some notes about different emotions and where they're showing up in the body, and then any other extrapolated thoughts or new processes or polarities or new blocks that you're noticing. Maybe as you dig in underneath that shame, for example, you might find a traumatized version of you, and, you know, go in and try to assess, well, I wonder how old that version of me is. Where did they come from? What memory came out? And then you'll be able to actually learn exactly how to manage that version of you a little later in the week. But those are the kinds of things we'd like you to be paying attention to, and just keeping some kind of notations about that will really help you a lot to get a lot more out of what we'll share with you. And so Daniel said here, Meg, I worked so hard towards keeping my emotions tempered, so I've built a resistance to having them at all. And that's an amazing insight. Immediately, you've already done self-assessment on this, Daniel. You've already noticed, wow, I'm having a hard time feeling at all. Hey, I relate. And so that's okay. So if you're trying to dig into a feeling or an energy and you're like, wow, I just feel numb, that's okay. Write it down. Say, I feel numb. I feel weird. I feel blocked around this particular emotion or energy. And that this is what I'm trying to get into, but I can't seem to feel it in the body. I can mentally assess it, then you're just objectively looking at what's going on with the process. So part of what Meg and I are trying to help you do throughout this week, and especially beginning today, is to be objective. That's what being a spiritual scientist is all about. Be objective. You're not denying your emotions at all. Instead, you want to keep an assessment of what you've actually said, what has actually been done, what has actually triggered you, and then how it's all feeling and where it really shows up and feels in the body. And that's the objective subjective, being able to be objectively observing your own subjective feelings and emotions. This is part of that mindset change that will occur as you practice with this. And it can be very profound in many aspects of your life as you're objectively observing, interacting with day-to-day life, noticing what triggers you now. It will change the way you see everything. It's going to change the way you see the people around you, your situations, you name it, everything. Because now it's going to be like a beautiful game. It's going to be like, ooh, what's going to come up today? I have no idea, but I'm excited to find out. Even if it might feel bad, I know that on the other side, it's going to be amazing. So beautiful, so much more connective, so much more light. And that's where the joy comes in. It comes when you finally experience that light on the other side. And you're going to retrain your body and brain and your emotional body to be able to approach each big, huge, holy cow obstacle or block or painful trigger with such joy, because you'll trust that on the other side is always going to be lighter. It's always going to feel better. It's always going to be much more exciting. A higher state of consciousness will occur every time. And you're going to trust that. You're going to be able to trust that fully from a soul level. So that's the gift of everyday processing, is it is truly joyful, especially the first few times you have a big breakthrough and you're fully embodying and merging and welcoming. It can be so beautiful and profound. And we expect that to occur for you. It happens for Meg and I every single day. Still, it happens every day. So it's something so lovely. And so I will work here. It says, Daniel says, I'm a number 5 observer, Enneagram. I've never heard of that. So my natural state is non-participatory to the point of total uninvolvement, which people take as rude. We won't see you as rude, Daniel, I promise. Yeah, I understand. So, there's the good position of observer that we're talking about, someone who's engaging with the subjective still, but observing constantly back and forth. And then there's the type that Daniel struggled with, where he's so unattached and so uninvolved energetically. Now he's realized that that's been too far of an extreme, and he wants to come back to a middle ground where he can be participatory energetically, and at another level to expand his consciousness. Certainly worth looking at this week. Very good, worthwhile thing to examine. And so Andre says, last 2 days I've had both tingling and tears with nerves and joy attached to both. Exactly. There's probably been some buildup to this because your soul is ready. That's why you're here. And we know that. We take it very seriously. That's why we welcome you with full open arms, just as you are. All the bells and strings and whistles, all of it. We want you. We want just you, raw, unbridled, as you are. That's the best place to start. And so Daniel says, I also want to echo what Meg said last week about being about to be comfortable in our own bodies. I want to feel more comfortable navigating around this organic biomachine. Yes. One of the great relationship changes that occurs just naturally by doing these processes every day and being it's sort of like we be the process. We let the process work us. And eventually you'll be able to do that as you practice more. But one of the wonderful outcomes is that you end up being able to navigate your body better. It is an outcome of all of this. Would you also agree with that, Meg?
Oh, totally. I think it's both. The more you process, the more you unwind layers of density that are actually protecting you from feeling. So it's kind of a catch-22. So in some ways you have to trick the body a little bit, is what I'm finding,
Mhm.
to relax in safe environments so that you can start to feel what joy feels like, what fun feels like, what some of the pleasant feelings feel like. So you can just actually start to become aware that there is a body here, that and this is where I feel excitement, and this is where I feel anticipation, or this is where I feel joy. And then slowly, 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 you'll start to be like, oh, is that what sadness feels like, right? It's like, oh, I think I'm feeling fear, right? And then you can actually get excited, like, that's what fear feels like in my body, right? And then there's a joy to it, and then it's just it's like a thawing almost of the body, so you're
Oh, I
safe and
like that, a de-thawing.
yeah,
Good one.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
very cool.
we're putting lots of
De-thawing.
tenderness and warmth
Hmm.
the whole process.
And
Yeah.
out of that, some of these other pieces that will come through is trust in the self and being able to trust the divine, being able to feel fully supported by your own soul. We often say, I want to feel supported by the universe, but we'll leave out the fact that many times we don't even feel so connected as a soul that we can't feel support from the universe because we've been so disconnected. And processing ends that. So I want to give like a metaphor that you can use this week, because right now, perhaps, we're all metal marbles. So you're a metal marble, perhaps, and so you're heavy. You've got trauma, you've got density, programs, judgment, expectations, resistance, attachments. And if the source field is a big white sheet, we're putting all these metal marbles out on the sheet. Well, they each make these dents, and there's nothing wrong with that. But from a perspective, from the metal marble perspective, you're in a dark hole all alone. And it feels so shameful that that's occurred, that you're feeling like you're in a dark hole all alone. And that sense of shame comes up because you feel like you're abandoned by source, by the universe, and abandoned oftentimes even by people close to you because they might try to help you, but it's like, in the end, I got to do this on my own. I got to get out of this hole on my own. Both Meg and I know how that feels. So what we're giving you are tools to start to shift the density out of the embodiment itself, which literally lightens up that marble, which is your body and your spiritual body too. But it lightens it up so that the whole ends up pushing itself upwards on its own because you yourself become lighter. So you don't have to dig yourself out of a hole. You don't have to try to work with that dense or dark anymore. By working from the inside out, the whole of itself completely changes, right? And so the outcome that we shoot for in processing is that we're going to be so light, we'll be so see-through and lightweight. And that's how it feels. The physical outcome, you feel more light, you have more capacity for light, there's more formlessness, less density. Then you can't barely tell the difference between that person who's been doing that deep processing and continues to, you don't stop, continues to process. Well, you can't tell the difference between them and the sheets You can't hardly tell the difference between that person and the source field. So there's all this pure, boundless light that comes through from the soul level that's accessible to you, but it's also going to change your 3D life. It's going to change the type of people you're around, and it'll change the people who are around you. For Meg and I, for example, it's changed our children and our spouses by us doing this work on ourselves. It's changed them. And we can attest to that measurable result of that outcome, that they themselves have been changed. And it's because of that light. Then there's nothing blocking it. There's no weird dark lens of junk for that light to get run through. And we've taken full personal responsibility for our own triggers and our own emotions, instead of saying, well, that person made me feel that way. This is a totally different mindset approach. We then own the fact that perhaps in that moment, that identity of victimhood was very important for us to examine. And so every event then, we immediately go inside to take a look. Why did that event occur? I was part of it and I helped create it. But why? And that's that constant processing mindset that will change everything, so that you can feel that state of oneness in a very physical way. I like to joke around and call it full body samadhi. That's what we're shooting for, is this full body oneness experience in the 3D. It's not just multi-dimensional experience, which of course this is, but it is grounding it into our 3D reality as well. And so would you like to add anything more to that, Meg? And then I'll get to this interesting commentary that's occurred.
I think there's a good springboard here, because I appreciate what you're saying about trusting life. And there's a comment earlier that I think it's Angela had made that we just bounced over, but I wanted to bring it up because it's interesting. She says, I had a similar story to Meg's with an addict husband and had no tools. So after 2 rehabs with him, I had to leave. Now, as I hear her, so much sadness is surfacing about the marriage and about my life since, mostly struggle and single parenting, financial stress. And I just wanted to hold that and say, I understand, I get it. And it is not easy. In fact, I remember just by reading your comment, I appreciate that it brought up an image of me standing in my home as a single mom and looking up the hill at this family who was cooking out, who had kids, and they were laughing and happy. And I wasn't, and I was struggling in all those ways that you say. And I can feel it now. And so I'm saying this because this is your portal. This is your gate. This is your opening. Just what you wrote there, the sadness, that's the emotion that is coming to the surface now. We don't have to go back and dig up anything about the marriage or anything else happening in the future or anything. It's all here right now. And so the sadness, and this is for everybody, the sadness or whatever is the moment, that's the gateway to actually, as you'll feel into this week, we're gonna give you lots and lots of tools, but just to feel into the softening around the sadness. So instead of resisting the sadness, we have a different approach, which is welcoming the sadness and allowing the sadness and softening the body so that we can drop into where the sadness resides. Where does it sit? You know, for me, I can feel it just bubbling up. It sits in my heart, right? And so that would be sadness, perhaps unfolding into grief, right? Unfolding into the grieving of the relationship. And then you would take that as a gateway or a door into what does the grieving feel like, and take the time to sit and feel and welcome and accept the grieving and really merge with that and meet that and then see what happens from there, right? So we don't know what happens from there because we can't step ahead of where we are. And that's the magic in this way of processing that we're teaching, which is life is giving us every single thing we need every moment. So thank you for sharing that, Angela, and we'll keep supporting you in this.
Absolutely, I agree. And I also have been in that same exact situation too. And for me, when I tap into that sadness, it immediately hits my adrenals and goes up through my spine. And it's a, it turns into sort of a panic that I recognize really well as my drive, as what drove me to succeed, to drive me to almost in a bad way, like the driving of a horse that's too tired. But it was a drive. It was that sadness, that grief led into a panic that turned into a drive that I was able to unwrap. So just as, like, again, another example that Meg and I, we know this well, and we will very much share how we relate with you. Yet you don't have to relive all of the pain. We're asking you not necessarily to replay all of the stories in your mind. You'll notice that we don't necessarily at all talk about the stories. We're only focusing in on the emotions. And so that's really key here. You're not going to have to relive a whole bunch of trauma this week. That doesn't work. We know that doesn't work. We've already tried that. But this is different.
Yeah, and you're right about the story, because you could tell a story for hours on end and not go anywhere with it. So
Yeah.
that's a beautiful way to say that too.
Absolutely. And so Barbara says, what I want to work on is something that happened just before this retreat, an energetic clash with my husband's relative whom I had never met. And supposedly we were meant to resonate and vibrate, but the experience was totally reversed to the point of raw, primitive clash between us. Very non-mental, more instinctual. And in spite of all my past inner work, I went into judgment, rejection, disgust, etc. Plus the experience of feeling attacked when I know mentally that I wasn't being attacked, but I took it in such a way. This left me in confusion and disconnected from my natural self, disconnected from my connection to source. I shut down, I closed down, I could feel my solar plexus and heart in shutdown mode. This is an old pattern of mine, reacting to others in a way that makes me back off, disconnect, and shut down. That's incredible self-assessment there. Incredible. And notice that you didn't get caught up in the story. You were focusing in on what it felt like. You could name some really key specific emotions here. Disconnect, judgment, rejection, disgust, feeling attacked. Excellent. Excellent work. Noticing that. Now the next step would be finding it in the body. Name each of those and then go in and say, where does this show up in my body? And then that's going to be a good first step for you today, to just go into them and make notes about where those show up in the body. That way, the story in of itself won't be the thing you're focusing on, but it's the triggers that came out of that event, which are pointing at some amazing things for you to break through. So we're excited that you've already nailed down these clear emotions that have come up and this pattern. You've noticed it already, and that's incredible, because that self-awareness, that objective self-awareness, that willingness to look at that, that's the first big step, and you've done it already. Excellent. So then Daniel mentions too, do you want to add anything to that, Meg, before I start talking more about what people are chatting about?
No, I'm just so impressed with the clarity, because you know that when someone can clearly state that, they've already taken a step back, right?
Yep.
To look at, and that's what we're all practicing, is being, as you said, that objective witness to say, oh, this is what happened, right? So we'll have the energy for more of that. That's beautiful.
Excellent. And then Daniel says, last week you mentioned clearing the mind's chatter. I'd like to touch on this week too. Certainly. And I think that there's lots of different ways to clear chatter. Sometimes what we'll find, and this will be something we look at in deepening on our day on deepening, sometimes you'll find that the chatter is a bunch of traumatized versions of you in your subconscious who seem to rule the show. For example, for forever, I'd have like my little kid self and I'd have my teenager self. And then I have this version of me that's not really a traumatized version of me, but it's who I call the lady with the whip. She's the one that drives me, right? So I mentioned that my sadness, back when I was suffering as a single mom and just suffering in general, that sadness led to a panic that turned into a drive. She was the one driving it, and she doesn't even look like me. She's like this buff, tall, like 6'5" blonde lady in a purple pantsuit. But she's a taskmaster is the word I'm looking for. She's my taskmaster, and I'd hear her too as a sort of a persona in my mind that would always have some wicked, cruel opinion about how I'm failing that day or whatever. But all of those are parts of me that needed to be healed and needed to be addressed very systematically. And underneath all of that were linchpins of programs, blocks, patterns, polarities, and then systematically addressing those over all these years has finally led to a quiet mind, which is something worth celebrating. So we want to be able to give you those tools so that beyond this week, through the rest of your life, you'll be able to work at attaining that and get those results, those actual results that day where you wake up and it's quiet. It's a good day. And then Daniel says, last thing for me is the program Meg mentioned about disregarding others before they can disregard me. Yeah, that's big. And I know Meg's examples are really amazing because you've been through so much, Meg, and one of them certainly will be examined deeper this week about the ways we protect ourselves. I mean, what we're really talking about here are all the different ways that our consciousness has been under pressure. And then we've built these egoic structures, including patterns and polarities and judgments, attachments, resistance, programs, you name it. All these are egoic structures. We've built them to protect ourselves. We've built them so we can try to succeed in a sick and crazy matrix society. So what is it going to feel like then when we shift all of that out of the way and we are only allowing those useful programs which are only letting light in that connect us to the true source field, not the matrixy, crazy, sick society stuff, but the true source field with all that unconditional love, all that equanimity. That's what we're shooting for. We want you to feel one with that field of light, not trapped and alone in a field of density and scarcity, trying to work your way out of the matrix and somehow keep one foot in and one foot out. We know how that feels too. So, and we'll help you. That's the whole beautiful part about it. And sometimes that protectiveness might look like what Daniel just mentioned. Well, I'm going to disregard someone before they even get a chance to disregard me.
Yeah, because that feeling of rejection is so tender and so powerful that I'm like, the unconscious is not willing to go there. So it's like putting up the stop sign saying, I will not even look at this. And so that's beautiful that you bring that up, Daniel. I didn't want to interrupt you. But if that's, I think what you're referring to is that feeling of, I am so vulnerable or tender or sensitive in this area that unconsciously I am not going to join groups, or I'm going to disregard you, or I'm going to pull back and defend myself in a very good way that fits into society, even just so that I won't touch this pain ever again.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that I was going to add, Elizabeth, to the calm mind piece was that that it's really wonderful, even if you don't get to a calm mind, on the way to a calm mind is when you can see the thoughts popping up. And it's almost as if they pop up and you're like, ooh, you recognize that you didn't think that thought, that came from somewhere, right? And you start to then get curious about where that came from, and oh, that must be that program. And you can actually start to see, this is so the fun part, you get to see where these thoughts pop up from, and you're like, oh my gosh, I bought into this for years and years and years, and I lived my life right from these programs and these thoughts. And then just the joy of having just a little bit of space of calm in the mind to start to see them as thoughts popping up. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Exactly. Yeah. On your journey towards it is this state of curiosity and amazement, and that ability to notice your own thoughts in a completely different way. It certainly is a transforming mindset. So Leela, who was discussing shame earlier, she says, I'm already feeling the issue of shame I mentioned unraveling. You see how when we put our attention on it, fabulous. I was looking at it as being ashamed of the feelings I want to go into, but now I'm seeing it as part of the feeling that I thought was key. It's a layered thing. Shame into jealousy, into rage, and it has to do with being compared to other people as a child. Ding, ding. And now I see how I do that to myself. And so she says, shame on me for not being good enough, and shame on me for feeling jealous, and the rage underneath that, which brings up then betrayal. How could this person who brought me into the world betray my innocence like that? Round and round I go with this, but it's thawing, it's unraveling now. Exactly. You've done it. You just unfolded this beautiful book for yourself. This is you opening that portal. Fantastic. Immediately, you're already noticing the layers to it. And tomorrow, you're going to really be able to get into it and see what will happen when you fully welcome and merge these things into your own embodiment. Beautiful. Perfect. And I want to read more comments here, but I would love for you to give your feedback too, Meg.
No, I'm once again, I'm a celebration person, so let's celebrate, right?
Yeah.
That for all of us, and then those who are watching, and I'm so grateful for us to be here. We're holding a space of this acceptance, right? It's not just Elizabeth, it's not myself, it's we are all in this together. And so we're holding this layer or this container of acceptance and total and unconditional tenderness. And thank you for sharing that, Leela, because that's what allows something to unravel. Do you get that, you guys? It's not the pushing or the efforting or the shaming or the hard energy. It's the taking the fists of, I'm trying to change this, I don't like this about me, and going like, let's just stop, at least stop for the moment, and stop whatever I'm doing to resist, and just watch everything start to soften and unfold. And that's what Leela describes. And that's great. That's exactly what we're teaching all week. So this is a beautiful start. Yeah.
Perfect start. Exactly. And so PS says, I'm feeling blocks in my spine, the Sushumna, at the back of my neck and lower back. I'm finding it hard to breathe as energy is trying to flow. Is there a way to clear it out? So yes, tomorrow we're going to get into exactly that, the process of how to go into it. So just to start today, just notice it, write it down, and see if there's any particular emotions that you might be holding there, okay? That's your first mystical homework for the day, for this evening. Notice it in the body. You're naming some really uncomfortable pieces here. Are there any emotions related to it? Just start there. And then tomorrow, we'll get into exactly how you're going to end up working with that. And you're going to allow the process to work on you. So by the end of it, you'll have seen and experienced already a shift just by tomorrow, by the end of tomorrow, with practicing the pieces that we have to give you. Perfect. And so Svetlana says, I'd like to work on opening the throat chakra and be able to clearly communicate my feelings and share my experiences. My inner child froze before my appearance in this home, completely detaching in antitrust due to circumstances preceded by my incarnation to deepen the level of separation and suppressing of all emotions. Emotion is, and oh, that was a different piece. But so Svetlana's noticing that she's saying appearance in this home. I believe you're talking about being here on the planet. And so here's something really interesting. While both Meg and I do believe in past lives, one of the things that our teacher Lucia has taught us is that yes, many different patterns can come through that we've been playing with or unwrapping in many different lifetimes. And you don't have to know all of those things because they're all available right this moment. Every single ounce of your own soul's history and all of the things that have ever happened to you, you don't have to remember them. You don't have to know the stories. They're already available in this moment. If we just start out with that simple question to your soul, what is up for me to look at now? It will unfold for you in this moment. And so, for example, P.S., who was just mentioning about her spine, she said the emotion is literally a fear of expansion. Incredible insight into that. Good work. That's really hard to nail down, but you did it. And it's not just any type of fear. It's a fear of expansion. Excellent. Keep going. Dig into that. Where did the fear of expansion, what does that feel like beyond that? Are there more layers? Keep going. And you're going to be in this position then today, especially to keep noticing what the question is that arises. Well, the body's going to show you some emotions or discomfort. That's a good place to start. So PS did that. She said, well, I don't know necessarily what my question is, but I can feel how uncomfortable I am right now. And good, that's a good place to start. Or maybe you'll come in with your question and then feel what it feels like in the body. So either way, so then for PS, maybe this week she's going to unwrap the fear of expansion. That would be her question to look at, to examine. That's what's up. Why am I afraid to expand? And wow, there's going to be amazing stuff coming out of that. I can already tell. And yes, everything's available to you now. You don't have to have full remembrance of all your soul history. And that's why it's here in this moment. That's where all the power is. So we'll keep helping you to remain in the moment throughout this week. That's part of our job. We're just helping you to really be here in this moment. And I'm really glad Svetlana says it sounds true. She's got tears of joy. I'm so glad. I can feel everyone really wanting this change, really ready. It's like we've all gathered together, this perfect group of people. We're on the edge. Yeah, I'm obviously doing seeing right now. We're on the edge of this precipice in consciousness together, and it's a really particular precipice. It's one that all of us gathered that we're all supposed to discover this week together. So that's the seeing I have right now, that we are now on the edge. We've opened the door together, and it turns out there's an edge we're all going to jump off together, even Meg and I, that we're all going to jump off together in this, and we're going to reach another state of consciousness, another state of formlessness together. And that by doing this together, we'll be able to have greater outcomes instead of us, say, trying to do it alone. So I think this is beautiful. What a wonderful seeing that we were able to have. Good. I'm really glad.
I wonder if that was the gift. Remember
I
last
know.
night?
Yesterday I was like, there's something that I'm.
We don't know what it's going to be. So
That's right.
that's a great way to say it. And we're all, when all of us are focused together and our energies are in one room, magic happens. And so I'm in love with that scene. That's great.
Me too. Oh, I think that is the thing, huh? So yesterday, Meg and I, we were talking about how we were going to do this particular call. And, you know, we had all the basics down. And I said, there's something that we're not going to know until we do the call. You know, it's always, sometimes being a seer, you end up having the job of being enigmatic, not necessarily making any sense at first. But then it unfolds and then it starts to make sense. So that's what happened. We weren't sure what it was. I wasn't being shown this new thing that we were going to look at or discover in our call, and now I think we have it. So very good.
And I see us all holding hands, right? And you know how you feel when you're just about ready to go off a precipice, and just like you're standing there and you're excited, but you're scared as all get out. And it always helps to have a hand to hold on to. So energetically, put out a hand to the right, put out a hand to the left, and know that there are 30 plus, maybe 40 plus people who are joining us in this circle this week, and that you have always someone to rely on, always someone to squeeze their hand, and just know that you're not alone, and we're all in this together.
Absolutely. And I sense that too. That's a really perfect place, I think, for us to go into a meditation. Would you like to lead us, Meg, in this meditation as this is our opening meditation. This is our gathering together in this circle. We're holding hands, kind of like, you know, those pictures of people when they're skydiving and they're all holding hands in a big circle. Yeah. We have almost 40 people in this beautiful circle, and we're all getting ready to jump out of the airplane. And so here's going to be our opening. It's the perfect energy to step in. Let's do it together now. So just open yourselves up to what Meg has to say in this guided meditation, and we'll just soften into it.
All right. So take a deep breath and definitely imagine that you are holding hands, as we were just doing, holding hands to the left and to the right of you with someone else who's in this circle. And we're forming this huge circle around this crevice, this mountain of, it's just an inner mountain. You know how it died, like picture a mountain that is inversed. That's how I picture it. And that we are standing on the edge of it, and we don't know what's on the other side, but we're holding each other's hands. And this was totally unplanned because I had something else planned, but this is how we work with the moment, right? And so we're just going to feel the hand of the person to the right. And this is real. This is real time. And so feel the hand of the person to the right of you. And feel the hand of the person to the left of you. And start the energy going around clockwise. In other words, send the energy out your left hand. And keep sending the energy from your heart, down your arm, and out your left hand. And imagine now it's starting to make its way around, and you're feeling the tingling coming back in the right hand. That we are sending out love. We're sending out the intention for all of us to have a breakthrough this week. We're sending out care and kindness and support for one another. That we are giving away our energy. We're giving our attentiveness and our attention We're giving acceptance out to the left. And you're watching it go all the way around this caravan, this hole we're about to jump through. And you notice it coming all the way back into the right. And there you can start to feel the tingle. All of that care, all of that compassion is multiplied times 40, and it comes back to you 40-fold, 100-fold, as we start to layer in our ancestors behind us. We know that we are standing to clear for not only ourselves, but for our ancestors as well. We know that they are supporting us. We know that they are cheering us on because we are doing the work of lots of generations. And as we're here, let's feel what it feels like to be in our bodies, because that's how we do the work this week. Feel your feet standing on the edge. Imagine that they are planted strong. Feel your legs evenly balanced. And in your imagination, allow the energy to flow up into your torso and just feel the strength of your body. I oftentimes say, be present, be embodied, and be receptive as 3 ways to help us get ready for processing this week. And so being present, we call in all of our moments from yesterday, from what we're thinking about tomorrow, and we bring it into this present moment right here, right now, holding hands in a circle. We bring our attention into our body, so we are present, we are embodied. We feel our belly, we feel our back, we feel our heart, we feel our shoulders, we can feel our arms, we can feel our head erect on our bodies. We are in our body, we are feeling our emotions. And the third piece to that is that we are receptive. Receptiveness is a quality that we want to be able to bring into the week, because as we learn how to merge and receive grace, we have to have our receptors open. So just imagine that all of your energetic receptors are no longer in resistance or stop mode, that they are open. With the hands up, you are giving out the left energy on the left hand, you're receiving the energy on the right hand, and you're allowing it to flow in through the right arm, all the way up the arm, back into the heart. Receiving that energy, giving it out the right, receiving it in the right, giving out the left. And just feel the circle complete. Giving and receiving, receiving and giving. One whole circle, ready to embark on this week. With all our heart energy, pour it out into the middle of the circle, and just feel the heart connection with each other. And that's an amen.
We got our ding.
We got a ho.
Got our clue that it worked. I sure felt that. I'm sure all of you did too, whoever's hands I was holding. A little bit of everyone. That was beautiful. Thank you, Meg.
You're welcome. It was on the spur of the moment because we had that circle going. So I think that's a great sign.
Yes, exactly. And so as you'll find, Meg and I go with the flow. We obviously are working within an interesting structure this week, but we're here to help you flow. And so we're good at that. We've learned how to do that really well, and we flow well with each other, obviously. And so we want to flow with you too. But wonderful. So then we just want to thank you so much. All of you being here is so profound and magnifies the healing energy for everyone. And your willingness to already begin to share. Thank you. Thank you for that. We absolutely treasure it. It's helped our call to really meet your energetic needs. And then we got our beautiful vision that starts us off immediately on the right track. Excellent. Okay, so we're on Slack, and come and chat with us there. I'll be there throughout the evening. Would love to hear what's come up through for you and how you enjoyed the call. And certainly tomorrow, look for that link on the One Tuesday Retreat channel, and you'll be able to see then your first set of materials, which we are really excited to have you dig into. Make sure you download them every day. Each day you'll download those and then have fun with them on your own time. So if you're there and you don't get a chance to post tomorrow, no big deal. You can go back. That channel will be open all week. And so make sure you go in and download when you have that time. If you've got some time to chat, just go to the corresponding day and we'll chat with you there.
Yeah, there's no getting behind. This is,
yep,
as Elizabeth says, this is at your leisure. And so just feel free to come and go as you please and ask questions and let us know how it's going, because as I said earlier, that's how we really, really can tell where we need to make shifts, and we'll do
exactly.
That for you.
Great. We're here for you. We love you. We're so excited for you.
Yes. And then we'll be again live on Thursday night. So
that's right.
Questions. We have this nice surprise for you. But
yeah, we do. We came up with something really interesting. Good. Namaste, everyone. Bless you. Have a fabulous evening.
All right. Much love.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.